Hello and welcome to another edition of Trail Talk. I am here with a new friend, Jackie Beth McCartney. Met her at the Outlaw 100 down in Oklahoma, where we both paced Abby. And Abby made her debut on this channel a few weeks ago, and so Jackie and I both showed up to pace Abby. Jackie had a later shift than I did, so we only had a chance to talk for a little bit before the race, and I enjoyed the conversation that we had, and so I wanted to have her come on and do an episode of Trail Talk together, because I remember she told some great stories, but the trail run that I did and the pacing that I did kind of erased a lot of the details from my mind. So it's kind of like going to be like we're getting acquainted again and heading out for a run on the trail together. And so that's kind of where we're at. So I will bring Jackie on and to just a minute. Okay, now you can't see that yourself like you do on Zoom, Jackie. So, but we are both on screen. And one of the things that I forgot to mention is that if you are watching this live, I'm going to go over here and while Jackie's talking and monitor the this live. And so if you want to join in the conversation with comments, if you're watching this live, I will try to pay attention to the comments and let you participate. We will have a more than just the two of us talking. So, Jackie, welcome. I appreciate you coming on. And one of the things that I always ask is to give us a little bit about who you are, because even though I've met you, the people who are here who might be watching who don't know you, so kind of give it a little of introduction and tell a little bit about yourself and your history about running.
Well, I started running about 11 years ago. So I consider myself relatively new. I started out typical running to lose weight and just, I hated it, to be honest. At first, I absolutely hated it. But then I did like this, like one of the Warrior Dash races, the mud runs.
Okay.
And I I was like, that's cool. And I heard of this race called a Tough Mudder, and that was about a half marathon distance with obstacles. And I was scared to death of the distance. I was not scared of the obstacles. So my good friend Angel Hernandez, he's on Facebook and such. He's an ultra runner. You know, he's like, hey, why don't you run a trail half marathon? And if you can do that, you can do it. And I did. And then I kind of got sucked into the ultra world after that because I decided I wanted to run a marathon, but I couldn't find a marathon that fit my schedule. So Angel encouraged me to do a 50K since it was only like 5 more miles. So that's where it all started.
Okay, so you went from half marathon to 50K.
Yes.
Okay.
And then a 50 miler.
And then 50 miles. Okay, yeah. So
And then 100.
Then 100. So
Yes.
what was the first 100 that you did then?
Well, my first and only was Rails to Trails, the fall extravaganza last year.
Okay.
And that was my first. I currently have 3 on the horizon.
Okay. What ones do you have coming up?
Well, unfortunately, due to injury and the whole COVID thing, I was supposed to do 200s this year. I was scheduled to do Kettle Moraine in June,
Hmm.
and that's up in Wisconsin. And then I was going to do the Hennepin 100 in Illinois in October.
Okay.
But I ended up deferring both of those to 2021. And my fourth 100 was supposed to be Outlaw, but
Hmm.
Outlaw is now going to be my second 100.
Okay. Okay. So you're doing
Little more.
Outlaw next February.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And you've seen the course.
Yes, I have.
You have.
It's a, it's a, that's why I said it was supposed to be my fourth hundred, not my second hundred. So I will say I'm a little nervous, but um, Abby, who I paced at Outlaw, is very encouraging, and she's constant. She's like, yeah, come on down, we'll go on the course, come on
Hmm.
down, we'll come on a weekend. So I'm actually planning on going down there at least one weekend a month, probably starting later this summer or fall, to go through the course and have her guide me through it so I can become familiar with it like she did
Hmm.
before her hundred there.
Yeah, because I know she ran that several times. She was very very familiar with the course, which was good.
That was amazing. She's
Yeah.
amazing. She is, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you paced her for the last leg of her 100. Yeah. So that would be the last from mile 80 through the end of the race.
Yes,
Is that right? Okay. Yeah, it was a 20
that
mile
is
20 mile
correct.
loop. So you were, if I remember right, that was toward the end of the day of the second day of running, because I think she
Correct.
finished that in 40 hours. So you had daylight and then moved into nighttime.
Yes. In fact, that was one of the things that she mentioned was she wanted to get down what was it, the devil's
The Devil's Butt
crack?
Crack. Yeah, the Devil's
Yes.
Butt Crack. Yeah, so that.
Yes. She wanted to get down that and get to Shorty's, the aid station, before we lost daylight. And
Hmm.
we did do that. And we managed to actually get about, I think, about 3 miles past Shorty's before we were in the dark again.
Before it was in the dark, before the dark. Okay. Yeah. No, I didn't get to see any of the course during the daytime when I paced her. It was totally dark the entire time.
That's
So, but
unfortunate because it was beautiful.
looked like a beautiful course. Yeah, there were places where I realized there were places that I was running, and I realized there was this vast open area, like just like right off the cliff next to me, and so I had this sense of like this void that if I made the wrong step, it could be fatal, and but I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see any of that. So what, as someone who you were pacing her through the kind of the end, what were some of the things that as a pacer that you kind of looked at, and what was kind of your role? What did you help her with?
Well, it was a little unusual because um, I ended up, as you know, we ended up pacing two runners,
Hmm.
Abby and Christine.
Hmm.
So I was, to be honest, very nervous because I've paced before, but I hadn't paced somebody to a finish.
Okay.
And to find out I would had two absolutely amazing runners to pace, it scared me, but they were solid, and and they were easy. I don't know how else to describe it. They knew the course like the back of their hand. Um, I was just there. I just felt like all I did was tag along and tell a few funny stories and just give them some encouraging words. I think and I remember this. I remember telling one of them at one point that when they were kind of had a little were slowing down maybe a little bit at one point, I said, "It's not my job to be your friend. It's my job to get you across the finish line." So,
Hmm.
um, so I pushed them as best as I could, but and encouraged them. And they were fantastic. I mean, I would pace them both again in a heartbeat.
Hmm.
Heartbeat.
Did you have trouble getting them to eat?
Not really.
Okay, because there came a
There was a
point.
couple. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there
There was
came.
a couple times it was a struggle, but I just kept reminding them, "Hey, have you drank something? Hey, have you ate something?"
Mhm.
They were both very good, and I think it was because it was just going into that second night. They were just ready to be done, but they ate very good at all the aid stations. I was really impressed that they were still able to eat as well as they were.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, because a lot of times that's for especially for 100 miles, and I don't know if you faced that, but you get to a point when you're running that long that you don't feel like eating anything, and it's just like that. There's just nothing that it. I don't even know how to describe it, but you just like
It's yeah. I've hit that a few times. I made the mistake during my 100. I felt really good about eating, and I ate too much.
oh my goodness, I
And that
that's
came to bite me later on in my race. It was at that moment I realized you can overeat during 100.
yeah, yeah. So did you end up having to did you lose it? I mean, and a lot of times people's stomachs, they eat and then they end up throwing up. Is that, or were you able to
I
keep
did
everything
not
down?
throw up.
Okay.
I did not throw up. I did make it to one of the aid stations with a bathroom to take care of business.
Yeah.
So got that taken care of. But it was also after that that someone strapped a couch to my back. And that's when the race really began. So,
Strapped a what? A couch?
yep, it felt like someone put a couch on my back
Oh, okay.
about
Oh,
mile
okay.
75 or so. Kind of how it feels.
Yeah. So, what was your? I mean, what was your kind of your motivation to go from the starting with the Tough Mudder and then going and increasing your distance? What was kind of your thought
I
process? What?
just wanted, I don't, I don't, I don't know. I just know that I felt this desire to do more.
Hmm.
I wanted to see how far I could go, see what I could accomplish. And, I went from literally running 30-second intervals and saying a lot of bad things in my head about running to 100 miles
Uh-huh.
and signed up for 3 more. So
Uh-huh.
it's, I don't know, it's just this drive that's in me, is what it is.
So when did you stop hating? Did you still hate running? I mean, I imagine sometimes at some place that changed, or is it? Because I know that there are some runners that run huge distances that still don't like to run. They like they like the results afterwards. But
That might be me, to be
okay,
honest. I can't say that I go out the door all chipper and happy and I'm smiling the whole time. I have a grimace on my face a lot when I run, but there's just something about when you get past around 8 or 9 miles, it's just fun.
hmm,
Before that, it's not so fun.
right. That, and a lot of ultra marathon runners that I've talked to have always said the second 10 miles tend to suck. And if and I've run into that several times. It's like going for a 50K and you get into that second if it's 10 mile loops, you get to that second loop and you're like, oh my goodness, why am I doing this? And but yeah, I always want to get past that 20 mile mark before it starts really flowing. But
Yeah, that's when things kind of start getting achy and hurting, and when you start having to dig a little bit deeper.
yeah, so and you're just coming off of an injury. If I remember right, you were. Oh, it's Lindsay is on here. She says, you love running early mornings with me.
Maybe.
Lindsay Hennigan. Hennigan.
Of course, Lindsay's going to come on and comment.
That's good. So
Yes,
how
I've
has it been?
been.
You've been injured, and so how have you been coping with that?
Well, my injury was about 2 months ago, and it's not running related. I just, I was in a boxing class, and I kicked, and I took the wrong step back, or I planted my foot wrong,
Hmm.
and it just felt like someone hit me with a 90-mile-an-hour pitch. Just this horrible pop in the back of my calf. And I couldn't walk. I couldn't stand. So, and that's the first injury I've ever had. I've never been injured. I've had aches and pains and overuse stuff going on like after my 100, but I've never been injured. And that scared me. So after seeing an orthopedic doctor, found out, I tore an area, where the connective tissue is to my calf. And so there went my races for the year.
Okay.
So because Kettle and Hennepin were tied together for a challenge, I had to defer both to 2021.
Okay.
So,
Well, and I heard that Kettle is postponed to September, and then
yeah.
so it would be hard to run those two back to back a month apart,
2
especially
weeks apart.
2 weeks apart. Okay, especially coming off an injury. Yeah.
Yeah. I was not, I saw that and the thought crossed my mind that, oh, I could do that. But after really taking some time to think about it and talk to, basically he's my coach, Angel. He's like, you're going to do what you want, but not many people will run 100 miles back to back like that. The risk of injury is pretty great, especially since I've been injured this year. So I'm just now getting back to running again. I've only run about 7 miles in the last 2 weeks, very easy miles, but I've continued cross training the whole time.
Okay, so you were cross training before. I mean, you said you were in a boxing. So
yeah, I do a lot of stuff.
So besides boxing and running, what else do you do?
I lift a lot of weights. I do a lot of boot camps. In fact, I'm leading two boot camp classes a night, 4 nights a week. So I just try to stay busy. I dabble in everything pretty much.
Yeah. So did the other things feed into your running? Is like all of it the same kind of thing that you just want to stay active, or is running kind of, where does running fall in that, where you put your focus?
That's a good question. I would say my focus is mostly with trying to stay healthy, but also to set a good example for my daughter.
Okay.
I want her to know she can be active, she can be strong, be healthy, and she can do any kind of activities that she wants. So that's my ultimate goal. I mean, I mean, if someone told me I had to quit running tomorrow, for whatever reason, I mean, I'd be heartbroken, but I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world. I'd find something else. But I enjoy setting goals and pushing myself and seeing what I'm capable of. That, whether that's through running or through lifting heavy weights and trying to, lift heavier or run farther. It's all about pushing myself.
So have you always had that mindset, or is that something recent, or something that came as you? Did you do sports in high school? I mean, did you do sports growing up, or?
I am the most unathletic person you probably would have ever met. If you would have met me 12 years ago, not an athletic bone in my body. I did not compete in sports. I did though. I was involved with horses. I barrel raced.
Okay.
I would show horses, and that eventually translated into agility with my dogs at one point. And I would show my dogs in agility all over the place. And then eventually that that at that time it kind of became, I was so out of shape that running my dog was hard, and it was
Mm-hmm.
for like 30 seconds. So I thought, well, I need to run to lose weight. And that's when I started
Okay.
running
Okay.
kind of with that. So,
Yeah. So it's a natural, kind of a natural progression from one thing to another that kind of, kind of got you into. But yeah, once you start running, it can get you sucked in and get you.
yeah, it does. It really does. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. So your plan for your plan for next year. Do you have any races on in this year?
No, what, it's actually kind of, I think everything happens for a reason. And I think my injury happened for a reason. And, the timing of COVID and all that stuff, everything happens for a reason. So, what it did was open my eyes to just my overall health. And um, so I decided to focus on really reining in my nutrition
Mm-hmm.
and getting stronger and really building up my base miles this year. I'm not going to do any races this year. In fact, what I'm going to do is focus on my friends.
Okay.
I had a fantastic group crew me at my 100.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. So, whatever races that they're going to be doing this fall, I'm going to be there for them
Okay.
to pace or. Uh, so that's what my intent is. There is I just shifted my focus from my own races to the races of my friends,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll just focus on my own nutrition and base miles. And then when about October, November hits, that's when I'll kind of start ramping up my training for Outlaw.
Okay. Okay. Well, I got a comment from Troy, who looks like he knows you because he says your favorite saying while pacing is "Suck it up, Buttercup."
Pretty much, yes. Except
So,
that you only say that to certain runners because other runners might not like that very much. It's all about knowing your runner and if they need a little bit of extra love or if they need a little extra tough love.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So have you paced? You've paced before. How many races have you paced?
Yes. Um, well, two, kind of three. My first one, I paced Greg Gray. He ran up at Hitchcock this
Okay.
last December.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my first real pacing gig. I'd been signed up to be a pacer quite a few times before then, but always at the late stages of a race, and then the runner would end up dropping. So that was my first time
Mm-hmm.
actually getting to pace. And by the way, that course, have you ever been up there?
Hennepin?
Up net,
No,
no, at
Hitchcock.
Hitchcock.
Hitchcock. You, yeah, if I remember right, you were telling me about that. So what
Oh
is the
my,
course of Hitchcock like?
nothing like Kansas, I'll tell you that. It, it. I had never been on a course where you are literally looking up the whole time and you still never see the top. It was incredible. And those bluffs were like that. There were like 5 or 6 bluffs like that. You just never felt like you're gonna get to the top.
Mm-hmm.
And and also it's that course is incredible. Maybe someday I'll have the gonads to do it, but um, you basically come back to the main aid station 2 more times before you get to actually go back to it. So it's like a tease.
Okay.
And and then it's in December, it's cold, it's icy, you're
Mm-hmm.
in the wind. It's I'll tell you what, it's not for the faint, but it was a beautiful course.
Yeah, and
I
being
was
in.
very honored to get to pace somebody.
So what stage of the race did you get to pace when you were there?
It was at mile 60. It's like about a 12-mile loop. So it was at, I can't remember, mile 50 to 63 or something like that.
Okay.
I think I'd have to look. But unfortunately, he had to drop because his knee was in really bad shape. So, but he signed up to do it again, and I'll be there probably again to help him out again in 2020, as long as the race is held. I assume that our fall and winter races.
Yeah, yeah. Just by December, unless we get another resurgence, that there's a lot of iffiness about all the schedules right now. So,
Right.
So that's
Right. Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. No, that's cool. So, do you have what is your plan for your physical recovery? You said you had a tear in your calf. Is that something that will be? I mean, you said
I'm taking
you're kind of
my time. Yes, I took it very seriously. I know a lot of runners will just keep trying to push through, or once it starts feeling okay, just go all out. I know some that would probably, well, I'm trying to be conservative. I was told I could do interval training 4 weeks after my injury.
Okay.
My doctor, of course, told me not to do any races, so I heeded his advice as well. And I've been very conservative. I basically, the next day, I was still lifting weights with my upper body. I was doing core work. I almost immediately started working on nutrition because I knew I was not going to be doing any kind of cardio for a long period of time, and I didn't want to lose everything. So it's been a long, slow process. As I said, it's 2 months, 2 months and 2 days actually since it happened. And I'm just now starting to kind of run again, and I'm taking it very easy. I am definitely going by feel of my calf. I'm making sure that it feels strong. If it starts to feel tired, I stop. I don't want to risk any kind of permanent injury, and I don't want to risk my races for next year because I just want to hurry up and get better and run. I, of course, added to my home gym. I added an elliptical. I added a spin bike so that once I was able to, I was incorporating those so I could keep my cardio up and not lose everything, but still not have the impact on my leg.
Okay. Okay. So what did you change? What did you change about your nutrition?
And stopped eating junk.
Stop eating junk.
You're an ultra runner. You know what we eat.
Well, yeah.
Pringles and pizza and candy and Oreos. Oh, Oreos.
Oh my goodness. Oreos. I almost killed myself with Oreos at an aid station.
Oh, you want to know what's good? This is awful. I ate Oreos and pickles.
Oh, yeah.
At the Nighthawk together.
And
it was awesome. Best thing I ever tasted in a race until about 3 more miles down the trail, and then I realized that was a mistake.
Yeah. So which Nighthawk did you run? Did you run in 2019?
I ran, yes, 2019.
2019. So you got to go through the water.
Yes.
You got to wade through the water. Yeah. Okay.
That was awesome.
That was amazing. Yeah. I had the honor of being DFL for that race.
What? You were there?
I was there. Yes.
I wish I knew.
Yes.
Oh,
Of course, there was no reason for us to have known each other back then. But no, I did. That was like so many things I did wrong in that race. I had battery powered flashlights or battery powered headlamps that would only last about an hour and a half. And so every loop I had to replace, and I had 2 of them, so I'd switch them out. But every loop I had to replace 6 batteries. And then I tried changing shoes, and it was just like I spent so much time in the aid stations. I bet I lost a half an hour just from stuff, I had new shoes on, brand new pair of shoes. And I mean, all the things you're not supposed to do.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I've done that I made the same mistake actually at the Hawk in 2017. I ran the Hawk 50, and I had these cheap little, I was so confident in myself. First mistake.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
50
What?
miles is not a 50K.
Well, no, 50 miles, but you've got like 32 hours to finish.
Well, it wasn't that. It was, I was going to tell you about my headlamp issues. I had these El Cheapo, like Walmart headlamps.
Yeah, that's what I was using.
And I thought,
Yeah.
oh, I won't need much. I'll just need it in the morning for a little bit. And, maybe for half an hour at night, I'll be done well before it gets dark.
Uh-huh.
Well, started the race. It was not bright enough. And luckily, I ran into Mary Ann, and she had a handheld because she was behind me, and she had to light my path because I couldn't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it started at 6 in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't have light for like an hour
Yeah.
or something like that. And so I had to borrow her handheld, and luckily, I bumped into her at an aid station and handed it back off to her. Well, come the end of the race, I ended up I'd never had a blister before.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a blister at mile 41. And it popped, and I kind of was reduced to a crawl because it hurt so bad. And so I didn't have any kind of lighting other than those cheap headlamps.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually where I met Greg, was because we ended up taking most of our miles in together. And someone, I can't remember who, mentioned use your cell phone. Like, okay. So I used my cell phone with my headlamp for like, I don't know, 7 miles or something,
Mm-hmm.
6 miles or something like that. And I'm glad the battery lasted because I had nothing. And I learned my lesson. I immediately
Mm-hmm.
purchased quality headlamps because I wasn't doing that again.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I learned my lesson at the Nighthawk. That was the thing, is like, because the Nighthawk was kind of, was that my, I can't remember. The Nighthawk was before I had a race, the Psycho Wyco, that was like in the heat, and I didn't make the cutoff to start the third loop, but yeah, so I ran the Hawk 100, but the Nighthawk was kind of my test for the overnight to see what I needed to do, and I ended up like, okay, I need a quality light for the night. But Josh Pantello, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, says the Hawk 50 will be his first 50, hopefully.
Yay.
So share what. Okay, besides headlamps, what did you learn in the Hawk 50 that would be helpful for somebody who hasn't run it before?
Practice on the course.
Okay.
That course will eat you alive. A lot of people underestimate a course in Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does, I mean, yes, it has some elevation, not a lot, but that white trail will eat you alive, especially because it's the last 11 miles of each loop.
Mm-hmm.
So if people get an opportunity to go out there, and if anyone actually just wants to go out there, heck, I'll meet people and go run out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great trail. It's well marked, but don't underestimate it.
Yeah. In fact, last year, because of the flooding in Clinton, they ran most of the race on the white trail, because there's a blue trail for people who don't know. It's Clinton Lake, right by the state park, Clinton Lake in Lawrence, Kansas, and the trail is the trail. There's a blue trail, which is easier. Suppose it's a little bit easier. I mean, it's still, it's still trail, but that's on the way out. You run the blue trail, and then coming back, you run the white trail. And the white trail is more difficult.
Yeah.
And last year, but last year, the blue trail, a lot of the blue trail was closed, and so they ended up running most of the Hawk. They had two-way. They had people going both directions. So they had a white trail going out and the white trail coming back. So you got double dose of it. And so enough people were abused by that white trail that they started a Facebook group called the White Trail Support Group.
I love
And
that.
so
I do follow that.
I follow that one too. Yeah. So that's there's a lot of funny things in there. So yeah.
Ironically, I've never, knock on some wood, I have never fallen on White Trail, but Blue Trail took me out once.
Cactus
Yeah.
Ridge took me out.
Oh, I could see that. I could see that.
It was because Cactus Ridge, that's you go to the Blue Trail and then you go to Cactus Ridge, and I was kind of let my attention wander, and my toe caught a root or something, and I went flying, and all my stuff fell out of my pack, and yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah. Well, that's
Maybe
just
a little.
that's what happens. Oh, Lindsay says she's a White Trail survivor.
Oh,
So,
Lindsay, she falls almost every single time we go out.
oh. Well, the White Trail has enough rocks on it that you would not want to fall. It's one of those places. I did a lot of walking on the White Trail because there were places that, and actually I found it easier to run the White Trail at night, because during the day it seemed like you could see the gradual incline, and I was like, oh, I'm going uphill, and so I'd walk. But then I found that in the nighttime it looked flat, and so I ended up running. So it was kind of weird to have that experience on the White Trail. But so what time, your 50 mile, what time did you finish? What time of the night did you finish?
A hair over 15 hours.
Okay. So you came in around 10 o'clock?
9 something, I think it
9
was.
something. Okay.
Yes, because that was when they started the 50 milers with the 100 milers.
Oh, okay. So you started
Yeah.
at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. It was the year after when they.
Yeah. See,
I think it was the year after they started separating them out.
yeah, the 2018 was the first. I ran the Hawk 50 on 2018, and we started an hour behind. And so I finished up right at 16 hours for the 50, and it was 11 o'clock when I finished. So it was
Okay.
good and dark. Good and dark.
Yeah, we started an hour earlier in 2017. So
Right. Yeah. So did you see any snakes in the night?
funny story, actually. Yes, I removed a copperhead from the trail
Okay.
during the Hawk 50.
Okay. Just one.
Yes, and it was good sized. I have a picture of it.
Oh, okay.
Some of my friends, Marianne, and I think it was Rebecca, were there, standing there, because people were it was in the middle of the trail, and people were kind of running past and over it, and they were concerned somebody was going to get bit.
Well,
So I
yeah.
was just like, oh, just grab a stick and pick it up, and here, take a picture first, and then threw it all
So was
down,
it already in the
and-
trail when you saw it?
Yes, it was curled up in the middle of the trail.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It was a big one. Like yeah, it was. I'm surprised I did it. I was kind of surprised, but I actually seen several other copperheads on the trail, but they were at night and they were little ones. And they just kind of slithered off. So
Josh says, "Boo, snakes." Don't rethink. Don't
Get
rethink
used
your.
to it.
Don't rethink your running of the of the Hawk 50 just because there's snakes. No, for some reason in the middle of the night during I was running the Hawk 100 in 2019, and twice I had copperheads crawl into the middle of the trail and stop dead in the middle of the trail as my light shone, this snake slithers onto the trail, and it's like, if he would have kept going, it'd have been fine. He'd have passed and I'd have passed and we'd have been all cool. But the stupid snake stopped in the middle of the trail. Of course, I stopped. I mean, it's like I was not going to run and jump over, because my pacer was behind me too, and he would have been in a world of hurt if I'd have jumped over the snake and he'd have not known what I was doing. So, yeah.
yeah, no kidding.
We stopped
man.
and
No,
we stopped and took a stick and cleared them out of the way. But for some reason, it wasn't like they were. I would have seen them if they were there, because I was like watching out. I knew that was something in the middle of the night. You sometimes find snakes, and so it was.
I love them.
Yeah, it's one of those things, and just have to keep your eye out, and gives you a added incentive to concentrate. besides
Yeah,
tripping.
because yeah, you don't want to step on one of them.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know that. I mean, no one's been bitten. I've never heard of. I mean, through the night. I mean, those are just kind of one of those things you kind of face on the trail, and everyone's kind of aware of it, and most people avoid getting bit. So
I have no idea. I've never heard of anyone getting bit there, so
yeah,
hopefully no one ever gets bit there.
yeah, yeah. I don't want to be the first one, but
I don't
no.
want to see your
Yeah.
name on the news because yeah,
So,
you got
but
bit.
yeah, the hawk is a very it's more challenging than what it feels, what it feels like. The course has its challenges, but I mean the support there is amazing. The Lawrence Trail Hawks, just they put on an amazing race, and
Yes.
great support, and we're
Yes.
doing. I'm
I need to actually renew my membership. I am a Trailhawks member, but it's a great. You couldn't ask for a better group. We have two great groups. We've got the Trailhawks and the Trail Nerds,
hmm
and they both just put on fabulous races. And I was actually at the Hawk in 2019. Um, I was supposed to pace a friend, Tony, and he ended up dropping. So then I was scheduled to pace just a total random stranger, kind of like Abby, just
hmm
someone random. But she ended up dropping because the conditions were pretty bad in 2019.
I
Um,
know, I was
yeah,
there. I was trying for 100, and
yeah, it was they were challenging because the mud, it was just on white trail basically, and then they had that front come through and that temperature dropped, and I when there was a lot of storms that night raining.
yes, there were thunder and lightning, and it poured down rain for a number of hours in the middle of the night, which is it's odd because the trail conditions when the rain came through and was made it wet, it was fine. But it was the second when it was like 2 or 3 hours after the rain quit, it had a chance to soak in, and then the trails got slippery. Because when it was raining, it was doable, but
Yeah.
they became treacherous, and so yeah, it was like it was I was able to go uphill and I was able to go on the level, but downhill I mean, it's just you could hardly. I mean, even just one step at a time. In fact, I fell pretty hard on a route, and I was just walking. I was just trying to inching my way down a hill, and my feet went out from underneath me. So for the people who were able to finish, I was really really impressed with that they were able to move on that kind of slick surface.
Yeah, it was
And
that was a challenging year. So I'll be there this year
yeah, are you running
for
it?
whoever.
Are you
Nope,
crewing?
I'm
You're
not. Nope, I'm gonna crew or pace whoever ends up needing me. So
okay. Okay. Well, that's on my radar to run. In fact, it's probably going to be my only 100 this year. I had intended to try to do a Javelina 100. That was kind of on my radar. But with everything that's happened with the economy and everything, we're like, I don't. It's just one of those things. I knew it was going to be financially. That's like you calculate the cost of travel and all of that, and your budget. I was kind of working that into the budget, but now yeah, we're not going to have this kind of resources that we had planned on. So it's probably not going to be in the budget for this year. But
well, if you need any help, let me know.
I appreciate that. I will look forward to having you stay behind me. Have you saying "Suck it up, Buttercup"?
You're not
But
you're not paying me to be your friend. You're paying me to get you across the finish line.
that's right.
I'll charge you triple. I'll charge you triple.
That's right. But yeah, I'll keep that in mind because there was a couple who that are from the Trail Nerds that paced me last year, and just very very gracious people, and I love and I would love to have them pace me again, but I don't want to presume if they may have someone else or some they may have other obligations, and so I won't presume that they're going to just do it again, but I will ask them,
Oh
but
yeah,
yeah,
nope.
so
I understand.
would love
I
to
know how
have
that
would love to
goes.
have you run with me. That would be fun. Now I
Or I
do,
can just cheerlead at the aid stations.
I do have to say I am not a fast runner, and especially not after 60 miles. But
I'm not either.
yeah,
My
but
goal is just to finish and not be injured.
yeah,
That's kind of how I feel, is finish uninjured, able to keep running,
hmm
and I'm cool.
yeah, yeah, and that's that for everybody. I mean, that I think should be the top goal, and then have a time goal if you want to. But yeah, I want to do the distance, and having come, I finished 86, 84 miles last year before I missed the cutoff, and so it's
There's nothing wrong
kind
with
of
that. That's still fantastic.
if it hadn't been for the slick conditions, would have done fine, but it just it was, you get that you get that when you're running 100 miles, and everything has to go right for you to do it, for you to finish.
It does.
And
It really does. Yeah, you're never guaranteed to finish, and all it takes is one little thing going wrong, and it's over with.
yeah,
And yeah,
yeah, and I've talked to other people, and that have experienced that. You've get your body just reacts. You take food that you think that you've been fine eating for all your training, or in all your past races, and all of a sudden your body's like, no, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna accept what you're feeding me today.
oh,
And yeah, so there's just a lot of things out of your control that that sometimes you can overcome them, and that's the
right.
challenge, is that there are going to be things that you're going to have to overcome that you haven't planned on.
Exactly.
And for me, that's the appeal of running, a long distance, or over 50 miles. I don't know about you, but for me, I finished 50 miles, and I wouldn't say it was too easy, but it didn't make me kind of have to go into the depths of pushing myself past. I had plenty of time, and I finished, and I was like, oh, okay. I felt,
Yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, I could do this again. And that was kind of,
Yeah, that's the feeling I had. That's why I think I wanted to do 100 so bad, is because I was like, I'm done.
mhm.
That's it.
Now,
Really?
granted,
I mean, yeah, it hurt, but
if
I
you had
mean,
come to me at the end of my 50 miles and say, you need to do another, you need to go out and do another 2 loops, I would have probably declined that opportunity at the time. But still, I got done, and I was proud of myself. I was like, oh man, I just ran 50 miles, but because it was also my first, but I was like, I want something more. I want to experience that, having that feeling that you might fail,
yes.
because
Yes, because you can.
yeah,
You can go in with all the confidence in the world, but one thing goes wrong and it's done.
yeah,
Um, and you really find out what you're made of too.
hmm
You really do. Um, you know, I, I will say that, like, for my 100, I'm glad that I found out I'm a funny runner and not a, excuse my language,
what's
bitchy runner.
okay?
Um,
What's a funny runner?
I was cracking jokes.
Okay,
I know there was a point where I was tired and whiny, but I was like trying to crack jokes. I don't know if you've been through my Facebook, but like they had signs that said "Do epic shit,"
hmm
and the sign that said "shit," I went and squatted behind it and had my pacer take a picture of me. Things like that.
hmm
Like there was a pole, and so I kind of got on it and stuck my leg in the air like I was dancing, and just stupid, silly stuff. And
hmm
I was trying to entertain myself and my pacers because it was fun. So
hmm
I had fun during my 100.
That's
I
good.
didn't take it
That's good.
seriously. So I like things like that. I found out a lot about myself, um, and I can't wait to do it again to find out more about myself.
Yeah. Yeah. So was that something intentional that you did to kind of get yourself? I mean, it just kind of came to you. It was like,
It was on the
oh,
fly.
it was on the fly.
Just everything I did was on the fly.
So
I was,
were you feeling that kind of dragging, like, the what just a lot of times they call it the pain cave. Were you feeling like you were getting into that place where it was really getting difficult inside mentally, and that was how you coped, or was that?
I don't know. There was a point when I was kind of low, and what happened was I was cold.
Mhm.
And at that point, my pacer was, really trying to encourage me to move faster because it was in the night, it was cold, um, and I'd been sweating through my clothes the whole race.
Mhm.
Like if it was cold or hot, I was sweating through everything. So he held off and having a jacket for me. I had a jacket, but I didn't put it on because he thought maybe encouraging me to go faster would warm me up again. And that's probably my lowest point of the whole race was because I was cold and I was extra whiny. Um, but but once he got me past that and I was able to warm up, then I kind of came out of it and got that whatever seventh, eighth, whatever wind it is in 100 miles. Um, so I hit a low point, and yeah, I don't think I ever thought I would quit, but I was really getting close to dropping a lot more F bombs than I had been.
Mhm. So instead, you switched it and made jokes.
Yes, and I
Yeah.
did flip my pacer off a few times behind his back. That made me feel better.
Well, Lindsay says that you had the best mood all night. He says you were such a happy and grateful runner. So,
I
so
was so
she remembers you fondly from that
I
night. So,
was so happy. I love my friends. I love every single one of them. The fact that they would give up 24, 30 hours to watch me suffer. I'd never done anything like that before,
hmm
and I'd never really experienced anything like that before. And I absolutely am so grateful that they did it. And that's why I was so excited to, sign up for pacing other people, crewing other people.
hmm
I'm happy to do it because I want them to have that feeling, um, that rush. I'm just there's no words for it. I'm just so grateful for them. And
yeah,
I was not going to be that runner trying because I was grateful and I was thankful and I knew they were doing it for me. And it's hard for me to accept help from people. So,
it is a very humbling experience. To have people,
yes.
because I had pacers go with me to Pumpkin Holler, and they drove down their own expense. Food, gas, lodging, and then stayed up all night, to take care of me,
Yes.
to help me run 100 miles, and it just and then I felt so emotional. I got to the end. It's like, oh my goodness, I could not have done this on my own. I mean, just it would not have. I needed to have that support. And I do think that there are people who will go out and run 100 miles on their own. They'll go to a race by themselves and have drop bags, and I suppose I could have done that, but there's so much camaraderie and there's so much of that give and take throughout the night, and the people who are willing to see you at going through the things you're going through
It's,
as you run 100
yes,
miles.
it's an incredible feeling.
It's an incredible
Um,
feeling.
my coach and friend Angel, he was at the Hawk 50 when I was there, and I had nobody else when I was racing. And so he actually took the time to meet up with me at a couple aid stations, and the feelings, the emotions that come over you when you're just exhausted and you know that they are the only they are there for you
hmm
was very humbling. And and then of course the rest of the race, because he had another person that he was pacing,
hmm
and so he wasn't able to kind of tootle around to catch up with me, and I missed that.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized how important it is to have a crew there for your runner.
Yeah.
Even if you're just cheerleading and not pacing, just having that face to come up to is very motivating.
Mm-hmm. To have someone come up to you when you come into the aid station and just who's there for you and say, how are you doing? How's it going? What can I do? What do you need? And that's it's hard to describe how that makes you feel, and
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 yes,
then to be able to do that for somebody else, that's a huge thing.
and a total stranger, because
Yeah,
that's what I did
yeah,
for Abby. And that was one of the best things I've ever done, because I have met so many incredible people, including you. And, you know, and of course I got my arm twisted into signing up for Outlaw 100. And I have a
yeah,
built-in crew now and pacers down there for
yeah,
that, which I love you ladies. I don't know who else watching,
yeah,
but if you're watching, um, I'm I'm just so humbled by it. I'm just I will do
yeah.
it for anybody, total strangers, friends, family, whoever wants to do it. I'm happy to do it.
Yeah,
But
the thing that they'll people will take off your dirty socks, and help change your. I mean, just like there are things that most of us would go like, oh my goodness, I'm not getting my hands in, I'm not. But there's something about the ultramarathon community is like we have this. There's a there's not the same kind of barriers that we have. I mean, when we go out on the trail, we'll talk about all kinds of things. I mean, and there's
yep,
nothing off limits.
poo,
Yeah,
pee,
poo,
chafing in places that you
chafing in
really don't
places.
want to chafe.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
and it's
Lindsay
just
knows firsthand that poor thing. It opened her eyes, I think. And to be honest, I have changed way more socks on ultra runners than I ever thought I would in
hmm
my life. And I would, under a normal day, I'd be like, ew. But
hmm
I got all up in there. And I mean, I think somebody took a picture of me changing Abby's socks at Outlaw. I mean,
hmm
I just got all down in there and did what I had to do, and I had no qualms with it. So,
well, and
because she needed it and she
she
had to get
needed it.
back out there.
And yeah, and I don't know if Abby had somebody else taking care of her, but Abby's friend Christine needed her socks changed, and so I mean there were like three of us guys. I mean, changing socks, changing socks for these two women, and, and it's just, but it's like there that's just the way it is. It's not a big thing, and
Yep. I mean, it isn't. And, like for instance, I had to change my clothes multiple times because I kept sweating through them, and I had to change my bra and my socks and everything. And, you know, everyone's just like, ripping things off and putting things back on and
yeah, or
folding up blankets.
holding up a towel, so you have at
Yep.
least a little bit of privacy, and yeah, that's the thing I've really appreciated about trail runners in particular is that there's that camaraderie and 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 an openness that's not that's not this bashfulness and so it's very unique experience to connect with people with what we do with the in those situations where we're pushing ourselves kind of to the edge of what for a lot of us it's the edge of our endurance and sometimes past the edge of our endurance and if there's and we all just kind of know you know to roll with it and
Yep.
it is that has been something the acceptance that has meant so much to me and the connection. I mean, like when you and I sat down to talk before the race, I mean, we just kind of showed up that we were strangers to everybody,
Yeah.
and so but within 5 minutes is like I felt like I'd known you for years, and
Feelings mutual.
yeah,
It's incredible. I just,
and it's,
yeah, you can't ask for a better group of people.
yeah, and so
You just can't.
I so appreciate that about that. Well, wanted to be respectful of your time as well. And Lindsay says your secrets are safe with me, Jackie.
Thank you, Lindsay. I will keep your secrets safe too.
Well, that's what we say is that what happens and is what is said on the trail stays on the trail. And there was a lady who was going to be pacing me, and so we had never run together, and she runs a lot faster than me, but she was going to be pacing me for the final leg of my Hawk 100. And within like half an hour, I'm telling her stuff that I don't tell anybody. I mean, not in a, I mean, not that like it's a deep, dark secret. It's just like stuff about my life that I just normally don't talk about. And,
I know. Yeah, like I think, I got actually something kind of funny that I probably will regret saying on this. But like I think I was telling Christine and Abby this, because women peeing on the trail, it splatters, and sometimes you have to try and aim for an area where it won't splatter as bad. Well, I was telling them I practice in the shower. It's like I aim for the drain, and I mean. So, things like that. It's just stuff you don't tell normal people, but I hope my parents aren't watching. I think you don't tell normal people, but, you just let it all out on the trail because you just don't care.
Yeah.
Sorry, see, now you know some of my secrets.
Well, yeah. And the thing I so appreciate about the women trail runners is that you all are, I mean, you are a tough bunch of ladies, and just I have a lot of respect for the women who are out there because I mean it's just with a lot of the things that you face. I mean, you roll with it, and it's amazing what you guys do. So.
Well, I think anybody that runs ultras is amazing, male or female. So, yeah. Yeah.
That's good. So we will say that's trail talk, and no one will. And since this is the end of the video, the people who are live probably heard this, but we're all trail runners, so we'll know it stays here.
I was going to say, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. You know what? If someone wants to use it as a tip and start practicing, go right ahead.
It's kind of funny. My wife, she's not a big trail runner. She walks on trails. She runs a little bit, but she's like not out running miles and miles. But she was raised on a farm. I mean, she was a farm girl. And so our daughter, my wife said, you need to learn how to pee someplace other than the bathroom because this is a skill you may need. And so
that's so funny. I've been working with my daughter on that too. She's so bashful, and she's like, Mom, why are you peeing? I'm like, because I gotta go.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go find a bathroom. Well, this year she's gonna kill me. This year she finally started being open to the idea and trying to be on the trail. Mm-hmm. Well, off the trail, but while we're out hiking or something. And she's like, that wasn't so hard. I'm like, no, it's not. Just don't go into any leaves. That's all I tell her is don't go into any leaves. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just in case.
So, okay, this since we're talking about this is what ever had to poop on the trail?
Yes.
Okay. Same here.
Several times.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I always carry toilet paper.
Okay. The time that I had to, I did not think ahead. And so
no.
And it was a trail system that there was a lot of switchback. It was mountain bike trails. So it was not like straight. There were a lot of switchbacks. And so I set off on the trail, and I was doing a loop, and so I was like, okay, just another 3 miles, and there's a porta potty. And so I was like, I'm doing fine, I can make it. And about a mile and a half in, I was like, no, I'm not going to make it. And so,
oh, no.
So yeah, so for for those who want some advice, the thing to do is to pick a tree that has the largest leaves
Yes.
and not poison ivy. So yeah, that
Yes.
was so. Besides having a spot that was like secluded enough that I wasn't going to be seen, I found a small tree with big leaves. So that's the secret to pooping
Well,
on the trail.
I've had to do it, yeah, a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And one time I had to do it like a quarter of a mile from my house. It was a gravel road and open,
Uh-huh.
and of course neighbors driving by. So I was
Uh-huh.
like, how am I going to get this taken care of? Because there were no trees.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, fence post it was.
Fence post. Yeah. Yeah. I did the bike across Kansas for several years, and it was back around 2010, 2008, 2010. And so the women would, there were no, I mean, you had to stop and go. And so, yeah, there were, you learn to be creative. I mean, it doesn't take much to shield what needs to be shielded so you can take care of business. So.
That's true, but yeah, but considering women have to bear it all, whether it's one or two,
Mm-hmm.
eh,
Yeah.
yeah, guys, I guess
Yeah.
you guys are used to just
Well,
going whenever you have to. I guess it'd be a little different when it's number two.
well, the bicycle riders, they tend to get a little less bashful as well, because there was a woman, I saw her in tall grass, and she was just, I mean, there was no trees, just tall grass, and I went, how's she gonna finish this? And she just stood up, and I was like, okay. I just turned my turned my head. And it's like, okay, I don't need to look. I'll give you that.
As long as they're not too sweaty, we can get those shorts up quick.
Yep.
So
She was like, and she was a distance away. It wasn't like I was like standing right there. It was like I saw what was going on, and it was like, oh, okay. But it's like, okay, just it's one of those things. Everyone has to take care of business, and you just kind of roll with it. Well, this has
yes,
been a typical trail conversation. We talked about poop and pee, so
that's awesome. That was my only goal, is to make sure we got to talk about that.
well, thank you, Jackie. I appreciate the time. And anything else you want to tell the world before we sign off?
You know what? You do you. Just set goals, achieve them. If you don't, try again. You do you.
Yeah.
And if you need any help, send me a message. You know what? I just realized we didn't talk about. It was something I figured we'd talk about. Have you noticed my Facebook profile picture?
Yes.
Have you ever noticed that?
I've noticed it. Yes, I've noticed it.
My foot sniffing picture. I have tried that. I did that after my 100-miler. I sniffed my own foot after my 100-mile race, and I have not been able to do it again.
Oh, so running 100 miles, you could actually sniff your foot, and you haven't.
Yes.
Oh my goodness! How did your legs even bend that far?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out, because I've tried it multiple times. Like Tanisha, she's who I met down at Outlaw. Actually, I think I met her before, but I kind of actually got to know her down at Outlaw. She attempted it. She tagged me in a post. She attempted it after she ran a half marathon last week, and she wasn't quite up there like I was. But
Mm-hmm.
I've tried it several times, and I can't do it again.
Hmm.
I'm like so bummed.
I have never tried that, so I don't know.
You should try.
I don't know.
After your 100-miler, you need to try to sniff your foot.
Yeah. Yeah, I am pretty flexible. I stretch every day. And so I just do. But I've never tried to get my foot, quite like that. So,
I think you should.
yeah, I should do that. But I don't wear
I think
shoes.
we should start a trend.
Start a trend. Yeah. I don't wear shoes anymore though. So,
You know?
yeah, I'm barefoot running now.
You are crazy.
So I'm wearing sandals. Now it depends. I wear if it's muddy, I'll wear shoes. So Troy
That's
says
incredible.
he expects his foot sniffing picture. I'm actually gonna have to try this, and I'll photograph it and
Please do.
put it as a challenge. But
Yes,
no, yeah,
please.
I bought a pair of Zero shoes, Mesa Trails, which is a minimalist. But only because of the fact that my Huarache sandals slide around in the mud. And so if I get like mud between my foot and my sandal, even though it's tied on, I can manage, but I have to slow down so much that it's just like, okay, I really need something but no, I've been running, I've probably got 200 miles on my Huarache sandals so far this year.
Wow. And how do you do on rocks and such?
You try to step where the rocks aren't.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I could
Gravel's-
walk barefoot, but I don't know if I could run barefoot or run in sandals. I might. I've heard of a lot of people doing it. Or
Gravel
trying it.
is tough. Because my sandals are 4 millimeters thick. So I mean, it's just a thin sheet of rubber on the bottom of my feet. So coarse gravel, it's still is like I can't just run on it. But I've also been working on getting to actually run true barefoot. I've run probably 10 miles on the trails barefoot,
Like
clear barefoot.
Barefoot. Do you
Barefoot,
not get
barefoot, yeah.
splinters?
No, I don't. And I try to make sure that there's mountain bike trails that I run on, and they are I've run on them regularly, so there's not a lot of glass. Now on the other side of the lake, there's a lot of broken glass. I wouldn't run over there, but yeah, it's something I'm working on, and so yeah,
I'm gonna try that.
Yeah. The thing that I have found is just that, and like I wish I'd have known this, that barefoot running strengthens your feet, and so I've been working a lot on strengthening getting my feet stronger, and so even I think even if people decide they want to run in shoes, if they do some work on being barefoot and working on strengthening their feet. I've got arches now. I've had flat feet for years, and I've got arches now because my feet have gotten strong enough. I've got this, and I'm running faster. I'm about a minute and a half per mile average faster than I was last year.
Wow, that's fantastic.
So yeah, for me, it's been a good choice, and it's been good. So I think I'll continue. It was but yeah, my last real run in shoes was when I paced Abby, because my feet weren't strong enough that I trusted to be able to go on that terrain with minimalist shoes. And so I wore my Hoka Speed Goats. And it was like, when I got done with that, I was like, I'm not wearing these again.
And I remember we talked about that because I was mind blown because I think you had your sandals out or something.
I was wearing my sandals around in between. Yeah. When I wasn't running, I wore them down.
Yeah, and I was kind of blown away that because you said you ran in them, and I've heard of people doing it. I don't think I've ever actually seen anybody's feet in sandals running before. I mean, other than like pictures or posts or something.
There was a guy I saw at Outlaw. He had a pair of they were probably Shama. I can't remember the name of the brand, but they make a Huarache style sandal that's manufactured, and he was running. He was running the Outlaw, and he had wool socks with a toe, the space in the toe, like the Chinese people, would see wearing it sometimes with a split toe, and wool socks running in the wetness of the Outlaw. So
that's incredible.
It's amazing. So, but yeah, I plan to run the Hawk 100 and barefoot. So, well, with sandals, I'll have sandals on. But,
right. I will plan to be there and see that. So,
and I'll see if I can stiff my foot afterwards. So,
please do. I'll take a picture for you. We'll start a trend.
A trend, yeah. You got to run 100 miles and then smell your feet. So,
yes,
that's a good place to end. I love that. Thanks a lot for being with me, Jackie. I appreciate it, and we'll be in touch because I am serious. I may tap you for if unless you're pacing somebody else, I may tap you for being with me at the Hawk 100. So.
Oh, I can jump around too. I've got several people that I've offered. I don't know who or what or when or how, but I'm not opposed to jumping around where I'm needed either. So,
Oh, cool. Cool. Well, thanks.
yep.
Appreciate it.
Very welcome.
We'll,
Thanks
we'll
for
be,
having me. This was
yeah,
fun.
this has been fun. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Have a good
Bye.
night.
Good night. Well, thank you a lot for hanging in there. If you're seeing this, you've been through the whole video. So I appreciate you staying around. This is the Ultramarathon Mindset page where I help people sync their body and their mind together for peak performance and optimum health. That's what I'm about. The things that I offer here on this page are to help you do that, to get your mind and body working together. So thank you a lot for being here, and I will see you next time.